How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to yet another weekly warehouse video. Let's take a look at what's new this week. So as always, we're starting over here on the drop shelf. We got a bunch of stuff from Trilogy in. Got the stack here. We've got the Zero Medium Orbit Pures. They look pretty sick. There's a few different colors. We got the blue and the pink. The pink one's kind of like bleed in a little bit. Very sick. Zero Medium baseline plastic. They feel incredible. We've got some Kona Panis Lucid X Moonshine Trespass. So I would imagine Lucid X plus Moonshine should make this a little bit more overstable. So I haven't thrown these yet. The Trespass though used to be one of my favorite discs. I actually put one back in the bag like a month or two ago. I think I lost it, was the only reason I took it out. It was a great hyzer flip to turnover disc. I'm guessing that this is probably one of the closest discs on the market to a Domi Hades, where you can just hit it hard and have it slowly flip up. That's a pure guess based on the plastic with the mold. But regardless, they look and feel great. They got a little slight dome to them, which makes the Trespass not feel as shallow, which is one of the problems I've personally dealt with the Trespass. So I'm probably gonna check one of those out. We also got some new Mason Ford Tour Series Getaways here, both in the Orbit plastic. They look great. I love how Orbit, they always match the stamp to the outer rim. I think that's just what makes Orbit look so clean compared to some of the other companies that do similar stuff out there. We also have the VIP X Sorcerer. I've never messed with the Sorcerer, but it feels really good. The VIP X is a little bit stiffer. I believe typically the X is a little bit more overstable, the plastic type. And these all have a little bit of a pop top to them, so good distance driver option there. And then this one I'm very excited about, the Lucid Ice Bounty. So the Bounty is a semi-understable mid-range that has always felt great. Typically, we've only ever had them in baseline. I actually just checked over on the shelf. We have them in stock Lucid, but the Lucid Ice should be a little bit more stable, meaning this is probably a dead straight slight flip up disc that just feels incredible, making me very interested in throwing it because I am a simp for those mid-range slots. But yeah, these feel great. Have like a slight glimmer shine to them. Got some pink and some orange. Looks like that's all we have left in stock right now. But the Lucid Ice Plastic, man, check it out with the Bounty.
All right, if I've said it once, said it a million times, Mint Discs is one of the most underrated manufacturers on the market. I mean, wow. Just like I reach in there randomly and look how gorgeous that free tail is. If you haven't checked out Mint Discs yet, they're being manufactured by MVP. And I've said this before as well. The MVP, I think, has maybe the best and most consistent plastic out there. I don't say best plastic. It's definitely up there. Probably the most consistent plastic we see. We see a lot of different plastics, and they just have really consistent products. Every time we get it in, we know what to expect. They have really started to develop a full lineup now. They've got awesome discs like the Jackalope. Look how pretty that one is. I think one of their strengths is their fairway lineup. I mentioned the Freetail. The Grackle is a newer one as well. This one has a little more stability. And then they've got something a little bit quicker in the Diamondback as well. But they're really starting to develop a full lineup that is kind of competes with everybody. If you haven't tried out Mint Discs, like I said, I think that these are getting overlooked. We do have a decent amount of stock right now, but it is starting to run a little bit lower. So if you're going to want to grab one, just one more beautiful disc to show you, the Bobcat, kind of like a zone type disc. I mean, this stuff, like, I would just hate for you not to try Mint Discs if you haven't. You know, I would highly recommend it. So make sure to check it out on our website and just pick one out. Give it a shot. I think once you throw one Mint Disc, you'll understand what I'm talking about. This stuff is money.
All right, we got some new Discraft discs in. We just got a restock of the Brody Swirl Roaches. These went pretty quick last time when they dropped. They're in this like putter blend swirl plastic, which you've kind of seen with the Fierce and our Rocket Roaches that we dropped last year. Pretty incredible looking disc, great feel, and then just the big Dark Horse logo on the front there. So if you're looking for a new putting putter or a good throwing putter, the Brody Swirl Roach could be a good option for you. Another disc I wanted to highlight as we move down the line here is the Thrasher. I was just telling you about the Trespass over there. This is kind of like Discraft's version, more or less. A little bit slower than the Trespass. Great feel in my hand. Great flip up ride disc. If you're like a semi-newer player, you're ready to take that step into distance drivers, but you a little scared by destroyers and stuff like that's gonna be too overstable, pick up the Thrasher. You can get a full flight out of it way easier than you can with destroyers or enforcers or forces or Zeus's. It's the disc meant for players that are throwing that like 350, 320, looking to get something that they can easily hit flat, have it cruise to the right, come out, maybe get a little hyzer flip action. That's where you get some serious distance. If you want to throw like the pros without having pro distance, you need just like the Thrasher. We got Z ones in stock, and it also looks like we got some sick Missy Gannon Tour Series ones from this year still in stock. That one has a ghost stamp, really cool. So you can definitely check out a pretty good selection of Thrashers. And the final disc I wanted to highlight at the bottom of this shelf here, we've got a bunch of different plastic Undertakers in stock. Here's the Z and Big Z. I believe we also have TI in stock somewhere along here as well. But Undertaker's a great fairway. Dead straight. Some of them you get a little flip up. Some of them you can pump flat and hard and have it cruise at the end, depending on how hard you throw it. Available in a lot of different plastics. It was the first disc when Paul, back in like 2018, transitioned over to Discraft. It was one of the first discs I remember him talking about of like, man, I didn't know I needed that disc until I threw the Undertaker. And it's still in his bag to this day. So that says something. We're now here almost 5 years later, and the man still loves them. So check out the Undertakers. If you haven't thrown it yet, you're really missing out if you're a Discraft fan.
All right, all you Castaplast fan club people, the cool people that know how good Castaplast is, I'm talking to you. Got a bunch of yarns in stock right now, and if you haven't seen it already, this is actually the first time I've seen it. We have yarns in baseline plastic, the K3 line right now. So if you're looking for something that'll beat in a little bit, this is like the go-to overstable approach disc for the Castaplast lineup in that slower spot. I would say that this disc, when I've thrown it, and I have tested this disc a few times, I actually like it for something a tick faster than like your typical zones and harps. These almost kind of fit in between, like, let's say a Malta, maybe a little quicker mid-range, and an approach disc. Like, they kind of sit in between that, which I know there's a lot of people who are always looking for a little more distance on their approach disc, like the zones don't go far enough or whatever. Yarn is a great option for that. Another disc that we have a good stock in both baseline and premium plastic right now is the Cax Z. This is the K3. We also have, this is a K1 Soft, one of the premium options we have right now. The Cax is, I think, a disc that gets overlooked a little bit. There are a lot of people who overlook like the 5, 6, 7 slot, or even like the 6, 7 slot a lot of times in their bag. I think that it's one of the best slots you can have in your bag is a disc like the Cax Z and the Cax, both of them. They're basically meant to be just a little bit faster than your typical mid-range and just a little slower than a fairway. So right in that like 5.5, 6 to 6.5 slot, speed-wise, to where you find that shot where you're like, I think I can get a mid-range there, but I'm not quite sure. I'm gonna have to throw it really hard. That's where a disc like this steps in. I think it's a fantastic option, and like Castaplast plastic is just incredible. So if you haven't ever tried that slot in your bag, this would be a great disc to really give it a go with. These have really nice straight flights to them, and this one will, in the baseline plastic, will wear into a really good hyzer flip disc as well. If you haven't been paying attention to Prodigy, they've been doing these new lines, like these player signature lines, kind of as they've been reinventing their brand lately. The best ones they've got, in my opinion, are the Reverb and the Distortion, and we have them both back in stock right now. The Reverb is like a really good, just flagship overstable distance driver that you could have 5 of them in your bag. They can beat into something that flies a little straighter, but they start out nice and reliable, overstable. They're very fast. Oh my gosh, that rain is picking up. And they have quite a bit of glide to them as well. And then we have the Distortion. You probably see Gannon Burr throwing these around a whole lot because they're an incredible approach disc, good for sidearm and backhand short chip up approaches. And Gannon Burr throws these things a mile and does wonders with them. So if you've ever seen that and you want to try it out, this is the disc he's using, this Distortion.
We're in the rainforest, also known as the warehouse, but we're still going to keep going with the video. We're going to bring it down to the MVP section. These things fly good in all conditions, so if you're in a torrential downpour like me, you're going to be wanting to look at MVP. It rhymes intentionally. Man, I'm flowing here. Okay, the Tesla is the first disc I'm going to highlight here. We got some fission ones. These things fly like Beta and Thunderbirds. It's something that when I was doing my MVP only challenge, I had in and out a few different times. I think the fission Tesla is what I was actually looking for, because I was using a Neutron Tesla and it was a step more stable than I was looking. I was like, man, if that thing would just flip up a little bit more, if they would have had fission ones, and by they I mean us, fission ones in stock at the time, I think that's exactly what I would have been looking for. Some other ones I wanted to highlight as we walk down the line. This next one down here is one of those beautiful discs that I think MVP makes. These PYROs in their different types of prism plastics. This is Prism Neutron. Basically, it's the opaque neutron in the center, but the prism is like this glittery see-through rim. And the PYRO is an insane disc. It's a very controllable, look at that one, very controllable, overstable mid, great forehand and backhand. It's not quite in that justice stability. I'll show you a disc that is here in a second, but it's definitely more overstable than like your Malta, Rock 3, that type. So if you're looking for something you can really crank on, really hit, always trust to come back, but still get you enough distance, check out the PYRO. Right above the PYRO is one of my all-time favorite discs, the Photon. The Fission Photon especially, they just go so far. Feel incredible in the hand, forehand and backhand. This is a disc that I think a lot of people, if you're like unsure about MVP, you want to try something out, get the Photon, throw it, and then try to stop yourself from going full gyro, because it's gonna be hard once you get your hands on this disc. So Photon, highly recommend that. We're gonna walk down and take a look at one more disc that I think people don't really fully know about, the Deflector. This thing is Justice-esque, possibly more stable than a Justice, if you can believe it. This thing, I put it in my bag originally, and people were commenting, they're like, oh Hunter, the slot you described, the Deflector is too overstable for that. And I was like, that doesn't exist. Too overstable for the slot? No, they were right. It was too overstable. That's the reason I ended up taking it out. But I know there's people that love a disc like this, where it's just absolute meat hook, skip shot galore. You crank it however you want, it's gonna finish hard. These flight numbers are very accurate, 5.3.5, 0, 4. That 4, honestly, you could probably almost go +1, 4. Very, very overstable disc, always board flat. Feel incredible forehand and backhand, and it's something that you can rely on in any condition, any wind, any location. You know it's gonna finish hard no matter what's going on out there. And we got a decent selection of them over here, so head over to the site and check out some deflectors.
All right, so if you watched our mystery disc on social media this week, or if you didn't, you're about to find what it is, so you have one more second to look. Seconds up. It was the Vandal. The Vandal, I think, is a super overlooked disc in the Trilogy lineup. This is when I was playing with Dynamic for a little bit. This is a disc that I kind of found that other people weren't really throwing on the team, but I was like, why not? Because it works for all levels of play. If you have a lower arm speed, this disc is probably just gonna fly, start out straight and have a little bit of fade at the end. If you have a little faster arm speed, it's out of the box, gonna be something that can flip up to flat. And then it kind of like, it's a very shapeable disc as it beats in. You don't have to throw it very hard and it glides a ton. The Vandal is a really, really fun disc. I really enjoyed getting to throw it again when I was filming for this. So if you want to check out the Vandal, we have quite a few in stock. You can go to foundationdisc.com and use code SPRAYPAINT, and you'll get 15% off the Vandal right now. Go check one out. But other than that, that's what we have for the warehouse this week. We'll be back next Friday with another preview, and we'll see you then.